You have to do your part. You have to have responsibility. Even though it's not always the nicest thing to do, but you hired somebody and he needs to provide. You can't just say, oh, okay, Hashem will make it. Nachon, so you have to involve in it by saying what's called hashgacha pratit. It had to happen. But if it had to happen, there's a reason. It doesn't mean that you're like, okay, I'm going to sit back and wait for the man to wake up and deliver the goods or whatever. You have to do it, what's called b'derech hateva. Hashem created in the way of nature. Hashem created the world with his rules in the world, and we have to act in the world. That's why all the halachot, it has to do with the world. Hashem is not teaching us about what's going on in the spiritual world. All the Torah is teaching us how to behave in this world. And we see that the first few halachot that were taught when Moshe Rabbeinu came down was things between a man and Adam ben Adam lechavero. We see that right after Moshe came down, was teaching all the halachot about Eved and all the halachot about if your animal went into somebody else's property and made a damage, all the things that are like between you and me. Because we have to bring the Torah down to this world. So if you have an issue with somebody, of course if he's Jewish, so much more so if he's Yerei Shamayim, you have to tell him, look, I made a deal, you have a contract, you promised. Yeah, you can't leave, in any situation you can't say, okay, I'm going to trust Hashem.
But you do your part, but
yeah.
It doesn't mean that, you're going to get the
no.
right result. I mean, you could do what you could do, right?
But it doesn't mean that,
you can't go after the guy with a gun or
no.
anything like that.
No, you have to do whatever is what's called in reason, and you do what you can. It doesn't mean that's going to solve the problem.
Right.
But you have to do whatever you can, what's called b'derech hateva. According to nature, sometimes yes, sometimes according to nature you also have to take the person to court. So obviously you want to finish in a Jewish court, but some situations, if it becomes very bad, you consult with a Rav, and sometimes you have to take a person to court if you're talking here about a lot of money or big contracts. But you have to do what you have to do, according to what nature allows you, and also pray that Hashem will be giving you a bracha here. Sometimes a person has to go through something, and lose money, or lose time, or whatever, and that's part of his thing, what he has to go through. A person, chas v'shalom, can do avera, and nigzar from Shamayim that he has to go through yisurim, all sorts of suffering, and sometimes the suffering will come like that you hire somebody and you end up losing money and a lot of headache and running to too many phone calls and this and that. Sometimes that's part of your yisurim.
Part of so it's like you're paying what you did.
Yeah.
Before.
Sometimes, I'm going to give you an example that's not 100% like that. The other day, my wife, she took $50 for something. She lost it. She couldn't. For 2 hours, she's turning the whole house upside down. She can't find the $50 bill. After 2 hours, I told her, what's going on? I see you already remodeled the house. She was like, no, I lost $50. I can't find it. So I told her, if you already turned the whole house upside down, you didn't find it, it must be from Shamayim. You had to do kapara. You probably did something, and you had to redeem it with $50. So say Todah Rabbah, that this kapara went like this and not on a doctor. And that's it. Sometimes you have to lose money. Sometimes the kapara is in mammon. Sometimes the kapara comes in money. So a person can lose in a business deal, or like you say, you go hire an individual to do a job, and he does a bad job, or he doesn't deliver or something, and nigzar from Shamayim, you had to go through some type of kapara, and it has to come in money. So you lose your valuable time, or you lose money, and sometimes you have to say, okay, that's from Shamayim, and Baruch Hashem, it came like that, and it didn't come in a worse situation. That's why we're taught, lekabel et ha'yisurim ba'ava. Something comes as a yisurim, as suffering, means that maybe you did something, and that's the reaction. You throw a stone at the window will break. You can't complain to the window, why are you standing there? Or why did you break? So sometimes a person does a avera, or does the opposite of Hashem's will, and from Shamayim they're being nice to him. They say, we're gonna charge your debit card right away. We're not gonna wait till Yom Kippur or wait till you chas v'shalom can go into some more severe judgment. Pay the fine right away and get it over with. So we don't really know cheshbonot Shamayim why everything happens, but in any situation you have to pursue whatever you can according to the Torah and according to nature, and the rest is up to Hashem.
But a person should also learn from
That's for sure.
mistakes and being for example, I'm giving you another scenario where a person is telling you, listen, go, buy this, trust me, I'm going to give you the money. Don't worry about it. Trust me. And he said, listen, it's better for you to give me the money. That way I go, no, buy it. Believe me, I'll deliver you the money. I'll give it to you. And you go buy it and they're like, I'm sorry, I can't give you the money.
According to the Torah, every business transaction you do, you have to have a written contract, even if you write on a note. And a couple of days ago, I used to have a business, maybe 10 years ago, something. A couple of days ago, a very old customer, somehow it came up. And the customer says, you still owe me money from then. Told him, I don't owe anybody money. Can't be. No, I remember it was this. I have everything documented. I pulled out from my file cabinet, contract from 10 years before, signed, everything is perfect. And I told him, you see, you signed, you got everything, I don't owe you nothing, I don't know why. Okay, I understand. 10 years passed, you don't remember, you forgot, whatever. When you have documents, nobody can argue with you. That's why almost every now, you can't say a person will tell you, go to the deli, buy me milk, I'll give you money. You can't pull up a paper and write a document. But any type of transaction, you want to document it. You want to put it in writing. That's what I do today. It's easier just to say, okay, let me email you what we talked about. Just reply that you acknowledge. Now, obviously, when somebody just asking you to go to the deli and buy you milk, you're not going to do that.
But it was something more major than just buying.
Yeah, so you want to make an agreement. You write a document, a shtar mecher.
You're doing that for just that purpose, for that person to realize that they were wrong or they were right, whatever it is.
You mean initially when you're doing it?
Yeah.
You would do it because you don't want to get to a point that there'll be a machloket, that there'll be an argument. The argument with that customer got solved within 1 second. A signed contract, that's it. If I wouldn't have it, the argument now would go, I don't know where it would go. Maybe he would want to take me to court. Maybe I would have to come and start proving he paid me, he didn't pay me, I gave it, I didn't give it. So any type of business transaction, you want to make a shtar mecher. That's why when a couple get married, the basic is, first of all, you do ketubah. You do the tnaim. Before you sign the ketubah, you sign the tnaim, the shtar irusin. Why? The mind tends to forget, the paper never forgets. So in any transaction that you do that is serious, you want to put it down in paper. You sell your car, you rent. Why when you rent an apartment, you do a lease? Because the owner of the apartment doesn't want you to come after 8 months and say, whoa, we agreed about 500. Why are you telling me now 800? There's a paper. We wrote it down. And the Torah teaches us, when you make any transaction, wedding, renting a house, business, any transaction you do, you got to write it down. And some of the things you need 2 witnesses. For example, chuppah, ketubah, you need 2 witnesses. A lot of things, kirushim, you give a get, you need 2 witnesses. So the Torah covers you legally in all the aspects. So one should be also cautious in any transaction that you do. Now, obviously, you don't want to do it in little things. There's no point for that. But in big things, you want to make some type of a document. So in our days, it's easier. Just send the guy an email. If it's a small thing, you send an email. This is what we agreed on. Just reply my email. But obviously, if you're doing a business deal, you put it down. So it takes you another minute and a little bit maybe embarrassing because you're telling the person, please sign. And the person will tell you, what, you don't trust me?
Exactly.
So you tell him it's not about trusting, but our mind tends to forget, and the paper will not forget. And 3 weeks down the line, I don't know what I'm going to remember and what I'm not going to remember. Let's be fair with each other. And if a person is Yireh Shamayim, you tell him the Torah tells us we have to make an agreement. So, but if you don't have that,
Offended very easily, trust me.
so you tell them in a sensitive way, I got burnt a couple times, and I want to make sure that I'm comfortable.
But this person never forgot. They just said, I changed my mind.
So that's even worse. According to the Torah, is chayav. You can't change your mind on a business deal. And if you would have some type of a contract, any type of court, whether it's a Jewish court, a Beit Din, or a not Jewish court, will rule to your favor. What do you mean you said yes and then I don't want to? So unfortunately,
A lot of time and a little bit of money here and there, and it was like nothing,
Yeah, so you wanna, there's something in the Torah. It's called Dinei Mamonot. And that's one needs to know. There's all sorts of rules when you're doing any type of transaction, even any type of agreement. I can come and tell you, Shma, I'm going to come and pick you up at 8 o'clock. We'll go together. You prepare that I'm coming and picking you up at 8. Come at 7:15. I tell you, look, I decided I can't. You know, what do you mean I can't? I had plans. I was counting on you picking me up. So even something this minor is big. That's why I always say in all my lectures, that, you know, the big mitzvot are very important, but Hashem looks at these things. That I come and promise you something, even something as simple as it is. Oh, I just told you I'll pick you up. What's the big deal? So take a cab. You know, I made it hard for you. I don't want to use the not nice words, but I put you in a bad situation. And it's not right. According to Torah, it's not right. So you have to be, a person has to be very honest and very straight. You can't just tell somebody I'm going to do A and not do it. And if you can't do it, you have to let the person know in advance. If somebody did that to you, A, like you said, you have to do in whatever you can in your position and your ability to reverse it. B, of course you have to learn from that for the future. And if somebody will get offended, you tell the person, I'm sorry you're getting offended, and I know it's not 100% nice, but last time I did the exact same transaction with a different individual, I really got burnt and hurt. This time I need to make sure that I'm covering myself. But more than that, you also have to understand, it all ultimately comes from Hashem. What is Hashem showing me here? And a lot of the times, Hashem is giving you exactly what you did to somebody else. He's giving you to taste from your own medicine. So could very much be. The thing is that like this, the Zohar says that if a person wants to do tshuva, that's one of the topics I wanted to talk about today, because everybody's asking me, how do I do tshuva? What do you mean to do tshuva? So when a person comes to start doing tshuva, if the person is worthy, then a bat kol, a voice from the heavens, comes and tells that person where he's failed. So he will know what to do. Because now comes Elul, we want to get ready, start doing tshuva before Tishrei. You think I remember what I did 10 months ago? Maybe 10 months ago I hurt a person, or I took something and I didn't give it back, or anything. I don't know what I did. So if you're worthy, then a voice will whisper in your ear, you have to do tshuva for this, you have to do tshuva for this, you have to do tshuva for that. Now, the voice is not going to come and you're going to hear somebody speaking in your ear, but it means that you'll be presented with a situation that, let's say something like that should turn a red light and be like, oh, you know what? If I'm experiencing such a thing, maybe I did it to somebody and I have to think, maybe, who did I did it? Maybe I promised something to somebody and I didn't keep up my promise, and that person got hurt from that financially, physically, emotionally, whatever. It arouses in you, wait a minute, I have to do tshuva. I'll give you an example. The other day, my wife once took from a store a magazine. She needed to look at something, and I told her, did you pay for this magazine? No, the guy told me I can give it back when I'm done. So I said, you know, if you forget about it, you owe that person the $5 for the magazine. So I suggest either you go pay him the $5, and either you give it back, because you're going to forget. And the magazine is going to go on the shelf, and a year will pass by, and will come Rosh Hashanah, and they're going to look up in Shemayim and say, oh, she owes that person $5, because she didn't bring back the magazine. So I told her, you want to change your judgment for $5? People in the Neshamot come down to the world in a reincarnation because they owe somebody a couple dollars. So sometimes in this situation, obviously I told her, either go give back right away the magazine. She just needed some information from it. I told her, Joe, pay the $5. You know, from Shammai, maybe you have to give him parnasah. The person has to get parnasah.
So before a person passes away, they can just give all their money away to tzedakah.
That's not exactly 100% the solution, because you can give me $1 million when you owe your neighbor $10 and he doesn't get the 10 and he's still upset at you. So obviously you want to give the money where it...
But let's say you forgot that you owed your neighbor the $10.
Then you have a problem.
Then you can fix it by giving tzedakah.
In order to really fix it, you have to give kama v'kama monim, above. If you owe me, let's say $10, and you forgot, and I'm upset. I remember every time I look at you, I'm like, okay. And every time I see you in the street, I'm upset because you owe me the $10. And you forgot, you totally forgot. And then you're like, one day you're like, wow, I owe somebody money. I don't remember who it is and how much it is. Here's $100 and I'm giving it to tzedakah. So it's very nice, but every time I'll see you in the street, I'll still be upset. I still didn't get my $10. So this you do when you really don't find the person. When I became religious and I went to a rabbi and I told the rabbi, you know how many people I stole from? You know how many people I cheated in business? You know how many people I kind of owe them money? You think I can find somebody from 20 years ago? So after doing a lot of research and looking for people, whoever I couldn't find, I had to take that value of money and give it to tzedakah. But if the person is still alive, then you have to find the person.
If somebody kind of like beginning, I don't remember everybody and I don't remember how much.
That's why your entire life you want to live in a level that's, we talked about it.
What do I do now?
What do you do now?
Yeah.
If you can find whoever you owe, that's exactly what I was telling him. That's kind of the topic that I wanted to talk about tonight.
Or like whoever I heard or stuff like that.
So
Or even let's say with money, I do know like some people that I owe, but I don't have the money right now to pay them back.
That's a different thing. If you owe somebody money and you don't have the money to pay back, but you can go to that person and tell him, look, I know I owe you money. I can't afford it right now. I can give you $10 a month. Or give me half a year to get back on my feet. That's a totally different thing. But to ignore the person, you can't. Now, in regards to people you don't know, you forgot, or you can't even think of, it's exactly what the Zohar says. If a person decides to do tshuva, and he elevates himself, and he learns Torah, and he does mitzvot, and he starts working on himself, and from Shamayim they're accepting his action, from Shamayim they'll give you the opportunity to find out who you. Pitom, you'll remember, oh, I owe that person money. Oh, I forgot. Or you'll see that person in the street. Oh, I can't believe I didn't see you for a whole year.
Could you daven for it?
Yeah. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about tonight, about now Elul. A lot of people, they want to do tshuva. I don't know what I did. You think I know what I did 10 years ago? Forget about 10 years ago. You think I remember what I did 4 months ago? Maybe I promised somebody something. Maybe I told somebody I'll give him something. Maybe I borrowed something, $10 from my neighbor. I didn't have money. I need to pay something and I forgot. Initially, one needs to do tshuva every day. That's why we talked about it so many times. Comes the end of the day, you sit on your bed, better not on the bed, but you do Kriyat Shema Lamita. Kriyat Shema Lamita is not zooming through the letters. It's sitting and saying, well, let me think what I did today. I have lists. I have a notebook that I write things. So if I know that I have to do certain thing in respects in Avodat Hashem, I write it down. So I don't remember, I don't forget. Because what happens is, let's say today I said something, I did something, I took $10 from my friend because I didn't have cash on me. Or anything that is minor. Because sometimes, how many times you borrow $10 from your friend and you're like, okay, we're friends, I'll give her next week, next time I'll see her. Could very much be 2-3 weeks passed, you forgot about it. Now you maybe forgot about it, maybe she didn't forget about it. Now she's not going to come and tell you anything because she's like, what, for $10 I'm going to make a whole thing about it? So she doesn't say anything and then becomes some type of a friction. So when you sit at night and you say Kriyat Shema, you're saying, what did I do today? Let me think for a second. I was up for 16 hours. Okay, so I did this, and you know what you need to do tshuva for. If you're able to do tshuva right on the spot, then you're a winner. That's how you live your life. Kol chayecha yu b'tshuva. All your life you live with cheshbon nefesh. Now if you don't, if you're like, it's okay, how many people say, I'll wait till Yom Kippur, I'll fast an extra 2 minutes, and I'll buy the ptichat haichal and whatever, and it doesn't work like that. And that's why you have Elul. Elul comes to tell you, okay, now is the time, like a business owner that runs his business the entire year, he doesn't really pay attention to every little day what happens. Comes the end of the year, he pulls out all the records, pulls all the receipts, looking at all his budget, where I can cut budget, where I can add here and there, and he does the cheshbon, he does the calculation, what do I need to do? So comes the end of the year, now comes Rosh Hashanah, and Rosh Hashanah is the time when we get judged for the entire year. So Hashem tells you, don't show up in Rosh Hashanah and expect me to start dealing with you. You have a whole month to do tshuva. A whole month, 31 days to do tshuva.
And he accepts it?
Yeah.
Like
Well, I can't guarantee what Hashem will do, but when a person does a real tshuva, Hashem will accept it.
Wait a minute, but if it's against another person...
You go, so you have the opportunity to go and fix it.
Yeah, but if you don't remember,
Right.
you ask him and stuff.
If you don't remember,
Send me the people that I need to
Yeah,
rectify,
exactly.
my...
Yeah,
Or
you
like-
pray for it. Yeah, you say to Hashem.
Okay, like what if I have a friend that like she was like really like, you know, like we were like together, like not like religious in the past, and we were doing like all sorts of bad stuff, and I probably might have wronged her like a lot, or maybe I have like one or two dresses from her. We were really
Yeah, so you want to fix it.
But I have to ask her. She's definitely like she's waiting for this opportunity because she's not there. So I have to go and ask her like, hey, listen,
Yeah.
do you forgive me? Like,
Yeah.
like, come on.
Yeah.
She's gonna say no.
So you'll come a day later and tell her, do you forgive me now? She'll say no. Come a day later, tell.
Witnesses, no?
Excuse me?
You have to call witnesses the second time.
Yeah. Don't worry about how much she's going to laugh at you, and don't worry how much she's going to make a joke out of you, and don't worry about the fact that she's waiting for the day for you to be crawling back on your knees to her. You need to do what you need to do. So you have to do cheshbon nefesh. If you did wrong things that are in the eyes of Hashem are wrong, don't care about how much she's going to get upset.
I mean, wrong. Like, I've asked her for forgiveness like many times in the past. She's done a lot of wrong to me too. Like, we were like sisters.
Okay, so you have
But
to
then
be
we
the
cut
greater
off because
person.
I wanted to like go in a different direction than her.
So you got to be the greater person and forgive her for everything that she did to you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like we say in קריאת שמע למיטה, הריני מוחל לכל מי שהכעיס אותי, בין בכבודי, בין בממוני. So you first have to forgive her. If you come with a clear heart to her, don't worry about her making fun of you. That's part of the
Like,
process.
How does one go about it though?
And that we can talk about more personal.
Okay, and what about guys? Do you have to like ask them for forgiveness too?
Depends what you did. Hashem tells you on Yom Kippur, don't come showing up in shul. If Hashem tells you, I'll forgive you for whatever you did between you and me. Even for Avodah Zarah, I'll forgive you. But if you owe that person money and you cursed that person and you did this to this person, you have to ask mechila for them. If they're upset at you on Yom Kippur, I'm sorry, I can't look at the file. So so if you want to be forgiven for all the bad things that you did, you first look for the people that you have to ask mechila from. And if you don't know who they are, then every morning you pray to Hashem and you tell him, Hashem, I want to do tshuva, I want to do the right thing. Please, tezamen li, I don't know how you say it in English, tezamen li, but please bring it to me. Yeah, bring it to me. I want to apologize to whoever I owe money, or whoever I owe an apology. I want to give back to whoever I owe money.
But if okay, let's say with money, if I don't have like I do remember some people that I
Then
owe
you
money,
call
but
them
I
and
don't
you-
have the money right now.
So you call?
them up and tell them, listen, I know I owe you money, but I don't have the full money
Yeah,
right now. I'll
yeah,
give it back to
of
you
course,
when I have.
of course, because maybe they're sitting somewhere very upset at you. If you owe somebody money, it's the right thing to call
Or
that
if you have
person.
a little bit of money, but like
That doesn't
you don't have
matter.
money
That's
right
technical parts, hard to do it. But if, let's say you owe me money, and if you don't call and tell me any type of acknowledgement, I'm upset. You don't know how that person is. Maybe he's like, in his mind, I helped her, I gave her money when she needed, she doesn't even call to acknowledge me, that's not nice. You don't know what's going on in that person. There's no difference between family and a neighbor. But the right thing to do is to call the person, tell them, look, I know I owe you money. I appreciate the fact that you're not calling me every day. I don't have money right now. In a month or two, I'm expecting to have a new job. Or I can give you $20 a month to show that I'm paying it back. Don't worry, I did not forget. As long as the person tells you, don't worry, it's okay, then you're fine. But to walk around the street and say, whatever, that's not nice. It's not...
I owe so many people money.
Okay, so that's why you do
I
tshuva.
was never careful with that.
So? That's why you do tshuva. And the Zohar says very clearly that when a person is accepting on himself to start doing tshuva and he's worthy, they're looking at him from Shamayim and they're saying, okay, this person is now worthy, he's doing his avodah, they start showing you everything that you owe or what you need to fix. That's exactly what could be in this situation. You do something, Hashem will mesovev, will turn around the world, so something will be in front of you, so you'll be like, oh, I owe that person money. Oh, I have to apologize to that friend. Oh, I took a dress from this girl. Something will come to remind you. So if you're worthy, it will happen. Same thing. Yeah. Then it really depends, because sometimes it really depends. First of all, if you know that 100% By you coming to an individual and telling him, I spoke Lashon Hara on you and I said this, this, and this, and this, it's going to explode and make much more worse, then better to do your tshuva without arousing more problems. Because if you're going to hurt that person more, you can do tshuva for Lashon Hara without coming to the person and telling that person, oh, I said about you like this and like that. That's paparazzi.
What about somebody that they didn't technically borrow it to you, but let's say they put you in a cab or something like that?
They what?
Like they paid you, those, took care of you, they put you.
And they're expecting.
They didn't say, never said anything.
Oh, a beautiful picture. The fuck?
I thought it was your obligation also to, if somebody owes you money and they might have forgotten.
Yeah.
Say, hey, listen, remember when you.
Yeah.
Because it might be a really.
זה, לא תיתן מכשול בפני עיוור. If somebody.
You have to remind people that.
Yeah, yeah. If you know that I'm about to do a sin, and you're not saying anything, you have responsibility. If I'm now looking at a person, and I know he's about to do a sin, and I don't say anything, I have a big problem. I'm going to have to give din v'cheshbon b'shamayim. If I'm now walking...
People that know that they're sinning every day. I can't tell them,
No.
No.
No, you're missing what I said. If that person is about to do a sin and he doesn't know, if a person is he knows exactly what he's doing, you still have the chiyuv of achoyach tochiach et amitecha. You have the chiyuv of proving your friend.
But you don't know if they know what they're doing or not, because it might lead to. I was telling somebody, listen, it's better not to do this. Shabbat. They got very angry at me.
Don't worry about people getting angry. You got to be worried about it. It's almost like you coming to a person and telling him, don't eat this because it's very bad to your health. In the middle of the what? Nachon. The thing is, there's many different levels of tochecha. And it depends, like how you said, sometimes your tochecha is not going to work. You're just going to get the person upset. But you do have a chiyuv. Let's say now, like you said, somebody owes me money. And I know that probably he forgot. But I can't mochel, I can't forgive because I need the money. If you don't say anything, you are putting a michshol bifnei iver because he forgot. You can come and tell him, by the way, I'm not upset, and it's okay. I'm sure if you have some financial problems, it's fine. But I just wanted to remind you, you still owe me some money. When you get the chance, give it to me. It all depends how you present it. If you're going to come and tell him, hey, you owe me money, it will start a fight. But if you come and tell him, it's fine, I'm not upset, I just want to tell you, I'm also a little bit tight with money, and whenever you can, please give it back. Now,
if they owe you $15, and for you, it's it's not necessary.
So you would
don't
just,
wanna embarrass him,
so you mochel, so you have to limchol.
You could just
Yeah.
say, don't worry, you don't have to tell him.
In your
You
head.
don't have to tell him, but
It's a greater way to actually come and tell him, listen, ani mochel. That's a greater way because you don't know what's going on in his mind. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he's saying, I owe him $15, but it's so embarrassing to go back and tell him I owe him. You don't know what's going on in the other person's mind. So the right way is to do mochel in your lev. And the better way is to go and tell him, remember once I gave you $15? I just want to tell you, don't worry about it. I'm totally mochel. I'll give you an example where we learn it from. Excuse me?
Can you say that to yourself without telling him?
Better to tell him. I'll give you an example where we learn it from. When we do bi'ur chametz, when we burn the chametz, if you read the nosach, what do? We say the bracha, then we look for the chametz, then we put all the chametz that we find, then we burn it the next day. But if you look at the bracha in Aramaic, it says all the chametz that is in my possession that I don't know of, it was like as if haya afar ve'efer. Now, Kabbalah explains the ritual is just a ritual, but the main bitul chametz is in the lev, is in the heart. So it's called the mitzvah bi'ur chametz, finding the chametz and burning it. But Kabbalah says no, the main bi'ur chametz, the real bi'ur, the real cleaning is in your heart, not by you being on your knees looking for crumbs on the floor, and not you going and burning the actual chametz. The main bi'ur, the cleaning chametz, represents yeshut and gava and ego and all that. When you burn it, you're burning that, you diminishing it. So the main thing, hold on for a second. The main thing is when you can come and say, okay, in my mind, I forgive him. It's fine. But if you want to make it 100% because you don't know what that person is thinking, you go to that person and says, אני מוחל לך. I forgive about it. Don't worry about it. And you use the words that will make sure that he's not going to get offended and everybody's happy.
Can you like ask in your head, like to Hashem?
Yeah.
To like sort of reverse it, to like use like I forgive this person, but make
You want to make
somehow
conditions.
get
You want to make conditions with Hashem.
no,
So-
to like get into the places where like I owe money, like I forgive that person.
Don't worry. You don't. When you make conditions with Hashem, Hashem is not happy. But when you do an action, I know. But when you do an action, Hashem will do what you want. If you're gonna go, המתפלל חברו נהנה תחילה. If you pray for your friend, are you praying about your best friend? She should get married. She should have kids. He should have parnasa. Then you get an answer for that. So when you go and says, I forgive that person and I forgive that person, you don't have to say to Hashem, oh, you saw, I forgave those two. Can you make sure that these guys forgive me? That doesn't work like that. But when you do it, belev shalem, 100%, Hashem will say, okay, now that you were mochel to them, I'll make sure that when it's time for you to be mochel, they're going to mochel for you. So don't come with conditions to Hashem. Hashem doesn't like that so much.
No,
You just do what you need to do.
I know like maybe one or two people that I don't know how much they owe me, but I think they owe me like a little bit, like probably not more than $10. Other one, like,
So you should
under
be in your heart.
100.
So you should be in your
should I
heart.
go to them and like say, hey, listen, I know you still owe me some money, but I totally forgive
Yeah,
you.
why not?
Sounds so stupid.
Who cares about stupid? Who cares about stupid? But you care what people think about you in this world. You have to care what they think about you in Beis Din Shel Mala when comes now Rosh Hashanah, and you want to come naki kapayim. You want to come with your hands clean. You don't want to come and from Shamayim they're going to remind you, oh, you owe that person money and you lied to this guy and you cheated on him. You want to make sure that you're 100%.
But what if you do like your shtakot and you try, but like when it comes to like Rosh Hashanah, you still haven't finished it. You still haven't.
So you have
asked them
another.
for forgiveness,
Okay, so
still
you have
haven't-
another 22 days. There's a lot of times in 22 days what you can do.
How can you deal with a person that thinks that they owe you money, but you really don't?
They think that you owe them money.
Yeah,
Well, you have to sit and.
you
Ask
discuss
them
it, but
where
the
Yeah.
thing is they have a very weird and intricate way of like for example, it happened to me. Then
So this is a good lesson for you for the future. You know, my grandfather he always used to say, "Al tachnis rosh bari lemita chola." Don't put a healthy mind into a sick bed. So sometimes in the future, you got to learn from that. That sometimes to save $2 is not worth the headache you're going to have to deal with for 3 years.
but I didn't know. This was a relative.
So
not
you
even a friend.
so you learn for the future. You learn for the future. Now in this situation, look, the thing is that the ultimate is not to get into any friction.
Right.
So if you say by me giving up, fine, I'll pay the extra $10 a month to stay in the plan, but I'm stopping a machloket, I'm going to stop a fight, then that's the right thing to do. You always, if you're going to make a whole big issue here for something so minor, then that's not the solution. That's why in life you
I
got
didn't have an extra $600, but I calculated whatever. Let's say if I get out, he's paying $150 as opposed to $140 for those 7-8 months. I was giving to him that $80 or whatever. I'm just giving an example, you know. But he didn't want that $80, which he would not lose on anything. It's as if though I was still in the plan. He wanted that $600 for 3 or 4 people to get out of the contract.
Seems like you're dealing with a lot of people that are very hard to deal with. You should you should in the future think twice before you're getting into any type of engagement.
After that, I didn't do any kind of, I didn't get myself involved, and I didn't know that, this is the way the person thinks.
In most cases, it's always better to be the one who's backing up a little bit, just to keep quiet. It's a bigger midah. It's a greater attribute to be the one who's like, okay, I'm going to do whatever needs to be done to prevent this argument right now. But for the future, it's better not to. I learned on my experience so many things like how you're saying. I learned for now not to jump so fast into any little adventure because I know down the line, what a headache I'm going to have from that. So better, Hashem is showing you in different ways different ways, different situations to open your eyes, and in the future, better not to get into this type of in partnerships in any different ways. That's why it's easier always to say, Shema, listen, it's not for me, I'm not interested, and better feeling a little bit uncomfortable in the beginning by saying I don't want to, than later on dealing with a headache for months. That's why, this is not a good example, but that's why it's good to always write down an agreement. Because you write down, you're like, okay, I agree, I promise A, you promise B, we have an agreement between us, everybody's happy, we want to cancel it, we leave it nice and square without any fighting. But in any situation, big or small, you always want to try, at least initially, to be doing it quietly, not to make an issue. If it turns out that there's no success, then you got to use what any means you can to protect yourself. But in the beginning, in any type of argument, you want to be the greater one and says, fine, I'll step back. Fine, you want the extra $10 a month, fine, whatever. When is the contract ending? I'll take it on myself. Because limanami machloket, to prevent from any type of argument, is greater mitzvah than finding, fighting on the extra dollar. And sometimes there's also kiddush Hashem in there, because especially if the relative or the friend or the neighbor knows that you are a God-fearing person, Yireh Shamayim, and you serving Hashem, and if you do something that is not so nice, they'll be like, oh, those religious people, shakranim, they're thieves. It is also an inyan of Kiddush Hashem, so if you behave in a nice and nice representing way of Hashem, then the person can't even say anything about your wrongdoing. But in general, better not to get into any situation, especially when it comes to very little things. Why?
Speaking of that, a lot of them try to take advantage.
Manishma.
A lot of times I hear, I'm not religious, I don't have to do this. But you're religious, you have to do this. It's such crazy mentality, that they have, like I'm not obligated to be honest and be fair and not steal from you, but you're obligated to this, so it was.
So that's just
the kind of.
That's just.
a mental block.
So what?
That's just a mental block.
Yeah,
I
well.
hear it a lot.
They know fully well that they can't do that. They just say
The only answers to give is that you don't have to be religious to be obligated in being honest.
Right.
That's what you said before. For what I wanted to say is that with the inyan of the tochecha, of proving somebody or rebuking, obviously you have to be the judge in the situation. You can't just walk in the street and start telling people, that's treif, that's Shabbos. You can't just walk around. It all depends, first of all, your closeness of the to the person, and how receptive that person will be. So if I'm walking in the street, it also depends who you are. If I walk in the street and I see somebody mechalel Shabbat in my neighborhood, I have not only the obligation, but I also have some type of, I don't know the word to use, not power, but I can come now to somebody and tell him, it's Shabbat today and you should not be mechalel Shabbat and blah, blah, blah. Because the person would look at me and be like, okay, he's not really trying to rebuke me, he's trying to help me. But if you, in the same level of the same person, he would feel that you're trying to rebuke him. So it also depends who you are. So if I'm going to come now to any situation, by me looking even different, I can turn to somebody. But if I know that if my rebuke is not going to work, better not to say anything. If I'm not going to come to a person and tell him, you can't do this, and it's just going to get him upset, better not to say anything. Sometimes just by giving an example, it's enough. But the thing is that you do have a chiyuv from the Torah. If I now see somebody doing the wrong thing, I have some type of obligation to come and say it. Now, how am I going to say it? That's already up to me, depending who the person is, if the person will accept the tochecha, if the person will get upset, if the person will actually do something. Sometimes it's all how you're saying it. You can say it from this angle, you can say it from this angle. But the reality is that, you have an obligation to, if a person is about to do a sin or is doing a sin, you have to do in any type of diplomatic way to prevent that person from doing that. So if a person owes me money, let's say I don't want to mochel, let's say it's not $10, let's say it's a lot of money, and I have a feeling he forgot, I have to come and remind him. Or how many times I had guests for Shabbat, and I knew that, they're carrying something in the bucket or doing something. So I have an obligation of saying, you can't do this and that. Now, I had a dilemma in my mind. Should I tell now the person that this is not the right thing to do? Maybe he'll get upset. Maybe he'll be like, oh, you're too fanatic, or leave me alone. It's enough what I'm doing. You have to use good judgment what will actually hit the target.